Hey, hello and welcome to the show. It is time for Ask a JP, just like it says down here. It is my show, but during Ask an Engineer time. So as a lot of you know, Phil and Lamore are busy doing stuff right now, and so they asked me to shift my show to this time slot. So I'll be here for a few weeks, and I'm excited to mix things up a little bit. It will be a fly-by the seat of your pants weird mashup show, because I'm going to try to hit a few of our favorite features that we're used to from Ask an Engineer, some wrap-ups and things like that, as well as some of my typical content. So I hope you enjoy. Let's see. First of all, I'll say, hey, thanks for stopping by over in the Discord and in our YouTube chat. So if you're wondering where the chat is, if you're somewhere else like Twitch or, I don't know, Facebook or Twitter, if we're even sending this video there anymore, who knows these days. And you're wondering, hey, where's all the chat going on? You can check our Discord. In fact, this is what it looks like right here. That's our Discord. Hey, C. Grover, Waves there, Starman, Australie, Jim Hendrickson, Jepler, nice to see you all. Thanks everyone for hopping in. If you're trying to find that, just go to adafruit.it/Discord, and you'll get an instant invite. You can jump into our server, and then you'll want to look for the live broadcast chat channel. There's plenty of other channels for other times of the day, but this is a good one for right now. Hey, some nice. Hey, Todd Bot. Let's see what else. Let me get that frame out of there. Wait, there we go. Other things I want to do before I forget. I have a coupon code. So if you're looking to buy some cool stuff over in the store, over on Adafruit's store, fill up your cart with goodies, and then you'll get 10% off on the way out if you use this coupon code right here, ASCABA. Ask a Bachelor of Arts. That's right. That's the working title of this show. I'm no engineer, just a guy making stuff. But if you want to make your stuff and you want to get a nice little 10% off on the way out, then type this coupon code in. I will remind you again later. That is good for all stuff. You can't use that on subscriptions and gift certificates and software, but any physical stuff you want to get, that'll be good until, let's say, somewhere around midnight tonight, East Coast time, maybe a little longer. So you'll have some time, especially if you catch this video a little later, maybe even tomorrow morning, who knows. So that's our coupon code for the day, ASCABA, ASCABA. What else have I got? So we just had our show and tell show. Thank you so much to Liz for hosting that, and for the people who came on to show things. A bunch of Adafruit people. We had Jay from DigiKey who came on to show a prototype of a workshop robot he's working on, a cute little robot to use in workshops, presumably DigiKey workshops, which is really cool. Give people an opportunity to build and code a little robot, decorate it, dress it up a bit. What else? We had, I have some notes. In fact, I watched, it was a great episode. We had Jepler showing his Cutie Pie BFF, NeoPixel BFF actually. It's a new little Cutie Pie BFF, best friend forever, that has a 5x5 array of super teeny tiny NeoPixels on it. And that just backpacks onto under your Cutie Pie, and you can run little animations. He had some Matrix Rain style code going on there, as well as really teeny tiny scrolling text, 5x5. That's not a lot. And that is actually one of our new products that's out, just came out like in the last day or two, so go check that out. Let's see, also we had Scott, who's back working on some stuff. In fact, he was showing us some projects he was working on during his leave. He's got a smartwatch, which is one that we actually have in the store. It's meant to use with JavaScript, I think. It's like a Bangle, I think is its name. except he got CircuitPython running on it. He's using it as his daily driver watch with connectivity to some sort of notifications as well as telling the time. And he also has some little boards he just got back from fabrication, which are a sort of StemmaQT I2C coprocessor for any of your projects, which is running a little STM32 microcontroller. So it can be configured to be all kinds of other things. If you need it to be some I/O, it can be that. If you need it to be something else, it's just in the earliest stages. But he said he's got them scanning properly for I2C, so they're alive, which is great. Let's see. Noah and Pedro showed their Noodle Shop project, which is a new project and a new guide, which is Lego Shop, Lego Noodle Shop, which makes me hungry just to look at it. It looks delicious. And they made the bowl of noodle soup and steam and chopsticks neon sign, big one, using our little LED nudes. So that's a really cool project. They showed that off a bit. Sophie Wong was on with some really cool 3D printed conductive filament projects where she is printing on non-conductive mesh and then using separate 3D printed elements that essentially sandwich around the mesh to create capacitive touchpads for wearable projects. Really cool to see that and see where she's going with that. And then lastly, Mark Gambler showed his huge 300 NeoPixel matrix display that is running the latest speed-ups from Jeff Epler, that make them super fast. He had it running at 80 frames per second, which is fantastic. So big array. He wants to make it even denser and get more NeoPixels on there. So that was cool. If you want to check that out, it's on our YouTube. So you can go back in time right now, time travel. Maybe not right now, watch this show. But then later, you can time travel and catch that show and tell. It'll be up on YouTube forever and ever as long as we have a YouTube. Let's see. What else? Ooh, so here's one. Believe it or not, even though Lady Ada is super busy and getting ready to do some exciting stuff, she had time for Desk of Lady Ada, I believe it was just yesterday, last night, and she was working on our new Feather Scorpio boards. Those came in, so check this out.
Lady Ada, what is this?
It's Scorpio season, and that means it's time for me to give birth to a big baby microcontroller board. It's an RP2040 Scorpio. So this is a 8-channel NeoPixel driver. It uses PIO. That's what the Scorpio stands for. It's got the level shifters, and this is the output section. It's also got like StemmaQT and 8 megabytes of flash, and reset button, and all the Feather stuff you know and love. So coming soon to the Adafruit shop. We're going to have this ready for signups, but great for anytime you want to drive like 8 IOs with 5-volt logic. And if you like, even on the back, you can change it so it's an input. So for like folks who want to turn this into maybe like a logic analyzer or something, you can have 8 channels in, all on consecutive GPIOs.
Yeah, that's going to be lots and lots of LEDs. Really cool for big LED projects. That's a great way to do it. Let's see, what else is up? We have our jobs board. If you want to head over to jobs.adafruit.com to learn more, you'll see we've got a jobs board that is free to use, free to post up any positions you're looking to hire for. You can even post your own resume if you're looking to get hired, and these can be full-time, part-time, remote, on location, contract gigs, freelance, whatever you want. They're all possible, and they're all vetted personally by PT and Lamore, so you know they're good. Here's one that caught my eye from the latest look I had at it. It is this electrical technician at CAD Industries LLC in Franksville, Wisconsin. So that's a new one. It just was posted yesterday. Go check that out. And they're looking for a full-time electrician rather, to help out with their facilities there. So a bunch of duties and responsibilities listed there, experience level, and so on. So go check that out, or other positions over on jobs.adafruit.com if you're looking for work. Let's see. So I've got a show that happens on Tuesdays as well. That was just yesterday. And that show is the product pick of the week show. There's the little logo. I just added it right there. And on that show, I like to take a product, sometimes a brand new one, sometimes an oldie but goodie from the archives, show you how it works, do a little bit of a demonstration, build up a little mini project of some kind, show you some code if there's code involved. And we give you an enormous 50% off discount most of the time when we're able to. Yesterday was no exception. 50% off on this one, and you didn't need any coupon codes or anything. Just throw it in your cart. It's going to be cheap during the show, but it's only during the show, so you need to catch that show live. And then I like to do a little recap. So here is a 1-minute recap from yesterday's show. Pi Cowbell Proto for Pico. So there's a Pico with the thin socket headers on top, and I've put the tiny little pin headers on the underside of my cowbell there. A connector for a servo. I've got I2C Stemma QT running out to a little OLED display here. I've added a potentiometer here using one of the analog inputs, ground and power. I've added a button, and I've added a little switch here, and I've also added an LED. So servo there. I've also got the angle showing up on my display, whatever angle I've turned that potentiometer to. And then I also have some little status things like when I press button, and I can flip between switch side 1 and switch side 0 there. So this is a really nice, neat, easy way to add on a bunch of additional circuitry and connectors to your Pico project. Pi Cowbell Proto for Pico. That's the name of it. It really is. That's really the name of it. And I'll tell you, I really like this one. Where did I put? I have the one I was showing yesterday. I really like this style of, it reminds me of the feather proto boards, just the single feather wing proto boards. And it's kind of perfect for me because it has those little tied pads, those sets of 4 pads in a row of like 13 that are tied, which is just kind of perfect for doing little simple mini circuits, breadboard style mini circuits. So I tell you, I wouldn't mind seeing that in some other form factors, maybe a little Cutie Pie version, tiny little proto area would be kind of nice. Very useful, especially for connectors when you want to add some sort of JST connector to your project. How do you do that on the bare board? All right. Let's see, what else is going on here? So much stuff. Let's see, the next thing I wanted to do, hey, how about a little Circuit Python parsec I've got for you today. Let me get that set up. Circuit Python All right, one moment here, because I'm gonna open up an app on my phone and get ready to show this. So there we go. Whoa, get out of there, thing. For the CircuitPython parsec today, I wanted to show you how you can code in CircuitPython on your phone and beam the code over to your CircuitPython device. So what I'm going to do is I have a Circuit Playground Bluefruit, and I'm going to go ahead and power that up. I have a little battery on there. And you can see I have paired this device with my phone. So it shows up inside of File Glider, which is an app for iOS. And it says, now you can use File app to create, move, rename, delete files or directories. So I'm going to just head to the Explorer. This is now showing me the contents of the microcontroller. And you can see there's no wires, right? Nothing is connected. It's all magically beaming through the air. And on here, the contents include code.py. That's the main program that's running on the board. Right now I have this 5 NeoPixel rainbow running, and all I'm going to do is adjust the code on the phone here to say I've got 10 NeoPixels. I'll hit save. That is now going to save that code.py file on the microcontroller, and then after it gets that, it restarts. This is reconnected, and now you can see I am running the new code. So anything that you could code in CircuitPython on your computer, you could essentially code right on your phone or another iOS device and beam it over there, which is fantastic. Really easy to get projects up and running in an educational environment, or let's say you're using something at a convention or a cosplay prop or costume element. If you want to code something on the fly, it just couldn't get easier than that. So go check that out. We have a guide for that as well as the app. And that is how you can code for your CircuitPython device using Glider. That is your CircuitPython parsec. And yeah, a question in the chat that we had over in our Discord chat from DJ Devon 3 is only for BLE. For the boards that we have that'll run that, it's the NRF 52840 boards. I believe that's right. I've used it on the Clue as well as the Circuit Playground Bluefruit. You could probably do that on a Feather. I think we have an Itsy Bitsy NRF 52840, maybe a couple of others. And also, Liz points out, actually, let me open up the Discord because there's good info here. Liz points out it's on Android. I didn't know that. Hey, how about that? Yeah, sorry, Adam Cadillac said, yeah, the Android users get no love. No, they do. It's just me. I didn't realize it was Android. I'm so sorry. So, hey, how about that? Go get that for whatever kind of device you have. And let me know in the chat if anyone knows which boards it'll run on. Those are the two I've tried it on. They're both NRF 52840. I imagine at some point we should be able to do that on other boards with BLE. I just don't know what the status is of like some of the ESP32 S3. Isn't there an effort to get that BLE'd up? Right now it's mostly Wi-Fi, but anyway, that is your CircuitPython parsec and some cool stuff. So thanks to Trevor and Scott and other members of the team who've worked really hard on making that so easy. The fact that we can use PyLeap and FileGlider to send whole projects as well as update code on the phone over to your device is really incredible. Oh yeah, Todd says it also is working on the C Zhao NRF 52840 cents. BLE sense, yeah, really cool. All right, let's see. So next up, hey, look, it's this CircuitPython logo, and usually PT and Limor have nice animated versions, but I just grabbed some screenshots of those. But Code plus Community is CircuitPython, and what better way to celebrate that than to find yourself looking at that right there, which is the Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. So you can go sign up for this right now. If you go to adafruitdaily.com, we have a number of newsletters that you can sign up for. Adafruit Daily for Python on Microcontrollers. I'm going to make this bigger here. If you take a look at this will come to your mailbox every week. And this has a bunch of great stories in it. I'll skim through this a little bit now. You can pour through it later. You can get it in your inbox. You can also just go to adafruitdaily.com and check it out. We also have a blog post about it. Some items in the news include the experimental Arduino support of MicroPython that Arduino Lab has posted. I don't know if that's experimental, but it's a lab thing, so it sounds like it's maybe a work in progress. Also, some other news items that caught my eye. There was a Raspberry Pi Beret project here, which I believe is in the Magpie magazine, so go check that out. Mentioned some of our shows and streams, and Paul Cutler's CircuitPython show podcast, worth checking out. This is another neat one here, as people have been talking about Mastodon a lot lately. This is a project that uses a Pi 0W, wireless Pi 0, running Python to display a Mastodon media on an e-ink display, which is coded in MicroPython. Also, Guy DuPont created this web serving Pico TV remote app. So I think that his remote control wouldn't work, so he created one using a Pi Pico W. Also, there's a mention of this really cute guide from Liz here, which is the Raspberry Pi Pico CircuitPython Cow web server, PyCow web server. And on and on and on. So loads and loads of projects always going on in the community. This is a good way to keep up with it. You can see here a lot of these come from submissions that have been found in Twitter. And if you want to get these in your mailbox, just go and sign up for the Adafruit Daily Python on Hardware newsletter, or Python Microcontrollers newsletter. And that is that. So that, get that out of here. That means it's time to, let's talk about new guides. So we are an open source hardware company, and we have, I believe it's 2,771 guides in the Learn system for you to peruse and learn from and use these great open source hardware and software devices that we've got. Take a look at projects that people have built, tutorials for some of our projects and products that have been created by the team. New guides this week. We have a bunch of these small boards that have new guides, which is great. So you can see here there is the Stemma, 3-pin Stemma, JST Stemma. Thank you for that clarification earlier, Kattni. High power infrared LED emitter, which now has a guide by Liz. That'll show you how to get started using this as a really high power LED infrared emitter. And I believe it has a forward and top facing LEDs, so you can get a really broad coverage of LED, great for things like IR blasters and TVs be gone, etc. We have a guide also by Liz on the SPI flash breakouts. So if you're looking to use a small amount of flash memory on a board rather than on an SD card and an SD card reader, this will get you started on that. And that let's see, that one I think is a Stemma QT, right? No, I don't see a Stemma QT. I think that's direct. Okay, that's not Stemma QT. Because it's SPI, not I2C, that makes sense. We also have the Pi Cowbell Proto for Pico guide from Kattni, and that'll show you how to get set up with that board, get it soldered together in different configurations. I showed this yesterday, but I'll show it again today because I really like it. As I mentioned, you can mount these either way. So there's your Pico or Pico W. There is your Proto board. Here's a blank one. You can solder things so that the Pico sits on top of, or in the opposite way, so that depending on the type of project you have, you can get those placed where you want. I also mentioned the one potential peril of this is that there is no clue as to the proper orientation. You can plug it in entirely backwards because it's even. The Pico itself is even 2 sets of 20 pins. So you just want to learn to line up the USB port with the I2C port, and you'll get that right. Also look at the actual pins on that, so you're clear that you're not plugging it in backwards. That could be very bad. Also, we have this really cool. I'm excited about this one. This is a Stemma QT 5-port hub guide from Kattni. It shows you how to get that set up. There's no code even for that. It's a simple passive type of arrangement. You're just rather than a long chain of I2C devices over Stemma QT, this allows you to have more of a spoken hub type of configuration, which is really convenient for some types of projects where things are bundled up close and you don't need to create a long linear run. We also have, similar to the SPI flash breakouts, we also have the QSPI breakout, and this is also from Liz Clark. This will get you set up on creating projects using this new QSPI dip breakout. And then finally, there's an update to a guide. So the Adafruit Micro LiPo and Mini LiPo battery chargers, those have had some revisions over the years. Those came out a long time ago, so there's a new guide that I believe Lady Ada and Kattni worked on. And pardon me if I'm misattributing that. Yeah, DJ Devon 3 mentions over in the chat, it's nice that the feathers can't be plugged in backwards. It's because of the uneven set of pins on them. You know when you're plugging it in right. It was always the same with the Arduino as well. Like the Arduino shields, you just couldn't put them in wrong. But with symmetrical designs like the Nanos and the Micros and the KB2040 keyboard, QT Py, all of those, you've got to actually pay a little bit more attention so you get them plugged in right. All right, and that is the new Learn Guide. So thanks everyone for your work on those. Those are super helpful. They're always the first thing I check out when I get one of our new boards or items in the mail. Yeah, some nice. Got to read the pin numbers. That's the way to do it. All right, in other news, dun 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 dun, the return of the AdaBox. So coming in 2023, Phil mentioned this, I believe, last week or the week before. So AdaBoxes just didn't happen in 2022. It was not the year for it with the global supply shortage of parts, but we are on track to be getting those out to you and getting a really great batch of AdaBoxes. We have at least 3 of them lined up. I think maybe even 4 of them planned out. So go check out, you can go to our page. I think it's just at adabox.com or adafruit.com/adabox. And sign up if there's any sign-ups available. We don't bill you until they ship, so you can sign up. You can also sign someone up as a gift. And we have been slowly but surely collecting about 5,000 each of a whole bunch of parts to be able to get that first batch out. So I'll be really excited to get my hands on the mystery item from the first one up that we'll be doing in 2023. Getting some projects going, and I'll be planning out some cool demonstrations and an unboxing video and event extravaganza. So go check that out if you're interested at adafruit.com/adabox. And go sign up. All right, let's see. Next up, I think I wanted to do a little mini gear report. So let me head over to the workbench here, and let me throw on a main cam in the corner. I'll head over there. By the way, as an aside, you'll notice I was so excited about this new TV I found, this 20-inch CRT, and I was showing like glorious S video on it last week. Now I've got my little teeny composite video ESP32 with this great cyber clock running on there. So kind of low-ish res, but it still looks good. Hopefully I won't get any burn-in on that. Who knows? It was free. So this is just a little mini show and tell. I'm excited about this. This is a radio that was kind of the shortwave radio to beat back in the mid-'80s through until they discontinued it, I think in maybe 2003 or something like that. It went on and on and on forever. This is a Sony ICF 20, actually in the US it was the 2010. Overseas this was the 2001D. They were basically the same model. And this was my dad's. I was visiting him recently, and he and I were talking about numbers stations and other interesting shortwave things that used to exist, particularly during the Cold War. And he said, "Hey, I've still got my my ICF 2001D. Do you want it?" I said, "Heck yeah." So it works. I won't be able to probably tune much in for you right now, but I'll turn it on so you can see. For some reason, some of these, and someone I'm sure knows, who knows radio stuff better than I do, on these sidebands, you can get some of these stations that seem to just have a different pitch as you rotate through the sideband stations on them. But this thing, I've tried it out. It has the air traffic control band, which is pretty cool. I was able to go outside, hold the antenna up. It also has provision for external antenna, and tune in some airport to aircraft traffic, which is pretty interesting. It has FM, and then it has medium wave AM, as well as a bazillion different shortwave bands. So you can select them here. You can also directly key in stations, which is really phenomenal. Also has, as you probably heard there, continuous scrolling of stations, which a lot of modern radios still don't do. Using a digital tuner, it doesn't blank them and mute them out. So it's pretty nice. So that's that. I don't have much that I can tune in, like I said, and I don't have much to say about it. I don't know the radio very well, but I'm excited about it. And of course, my dad always keeps things in really great shape and has all the accessories and manuals and stuff with it. So I'll have fun playing around with that. If I do find anything interesting, if I am able to tune something in consistently at around this time, I'll I'll bring you something next week. Or if anyone has any suggestions on things you can tune in Southern California around this time. There's slim pickings, I think, on shortwave, but if it's out there, this one can probably pick it up. I may just need to run a external antenna. So that's a little show and tell there. And let me turn that off and I'll retract that little antenna there. Put that back here. Oh, one other feature, by the way, I got to mention that I thought was fantastic is this is, your typical orientation of a radio, but they know that you're going to set it on a desk and be struggling to tune all of this stuff up here. So they put a little kickstand on the back that flips out, and then you can set it at this very comfortable, like 15-degree angle or 10-degree angle, something like that, while you're working, while you're tuning stuff in, which is cool. One other feature, actually, that I thought was great is they have the pull-out station guide, which my dad, pulled it all the way out, some dust in there, which my dad diligently filled out for some stations he was listening to. So he's got some Voice of America, a bunch of different Voice of America stations on there, some BBC, some German stations, some Russian stations. So that's kind of cool little artifact there of when my dad was using that. And let's see, was there anything else? I think that's the main cool stuff. Actually, one other really great feature is the thing takes 3 D cells. It's also got a AC plug with a DC transformer on it to plug it into the wall. Memory is all stored with these, I believe it's 3 AAAs. So the battery compartment lets you feed in 3 AAAs first, and that's to maintain your memory, and then the rest of the functions are run by this set of 3D cells. I believe, I'm not certain, but I believe from what I was reading, some people found ways to jumper the leads when they're having to change the AAAs or the AAs so they don't lose memory. I'm not sure if that's necessary if you're plugged into power. I'm guessing if you're plugged into wall power, you can keep the memory going. So that's that. That's the little Sony shortwave. And let me switch cameras out here. Next up, what I wanted to do is talk about the continuation of the Wakanda Forever project. So last week I was showing how to create a side-scrolling game inside of MakeCode Arcade. Tune that in there, a little focus. And I mentioned that I thought I wanted to add some NeoPixels to it, so I went a little bonkers here, and I've actually got 2 of our JST plug compatible NeoPixel strips. These are, I think this might be 30, I think those are 30.5 meters, so 60 per meter. And I've actually I've made a little splitter, so those are both running off of this, I think it's D3 digital output there, NeoPixel output. And you can see here when they start up, game starts up, and then what I have it doing is these will light up purple, but they have sort of a charge similar to Shuri's blaster charge from her gauntlets. And when I fire, you'll see each time I fire, it sends that little burst of energy rolling down those little rolls. Oh, I just got shot there. So I want to show you how I set that up in code. And also I'll mention, for some reason, I think it just may be a bug in MakeCode Arcade, or at least the version I was using. It might be a beta where it's fixed. NeoPixels weren't working on pin D2, but I realized I didn't mind because I wanted to do the same thing on both of these, so I've just got them both daisy-chained with a little cable I spliced together. Which, if you didn't know, you can do that. You can do that with NeoPixels, so it makes your code easier. You can send the same thing to 2 sets or however many strips that you can power. In this case, I've got them pretty dim so I don't run out and brown out the machine there. But these could be of course, unspooled, and you'll see there's this one bright pixel, and then the rest of these are blue. This white bright pixel just travels all the way down the ends there. So you could wrap these around gauntlets and have a sort of interactive thing, or use them like little rings in a cosplay type of thing. So just a bit of a bonus to your video game since you're making it in MakeCode Arcade, and you've got the PyGamer here. I decided to use those little digital outputs there. So let's jump over here, and I'll show you how I set that up. If you're not familiar with setting up that sort of thing in MakeCode Arcade, it's actually really fun to do and really straightforward. So let me jump over here, and I actually I'm not sure if I have that version in the editor. So I'm gonna plug in to USB. Let me come over to the MakeCode editor there. If I can find it, there it is. So let's see. Yeah, you know what? I'll open the one that's saved in the browser. Excuse me. And let's see. Okay, good. Yeah, this looks promising. Is this it? Let me stop that there. Oh no, this is the okay, this is before I did the NeoPixel version. So you know what I gotta do? I gotta remember, can I open that UF2 off of the board? You can see I'm a little rusty with my MakeCode. So I'm gonna say import file, choose file. No, all right. Let me see if I can, I think if I reset this, I can drag the UF2 off. Okay. Live demo time. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have that. Okay, so what I'm doing is, you won't see this, but in the file system, the PyGamer just showed up as a drive called PyGamer boot, and on it is my current .uf2. So now in MakeCode, I should be able to do import project, import file rather, choose file, and there you can see on my, well, you can't see it actually. On my desktop, I have that current .uf2. Click go ahead. Cross fingers, yay, it worked. Okay, so what you'll see here are, first of all, the setup. Let me stop that right there. Are you trying to play? Stop. There we go. So what I've done is I've created or rather I've imported an extension. So in MakeCode, you'll see there's a set of extensions, a little plus sign there. So you can add libraries essentially that weren't by default available because you just might not need them all the time. So I added to this two libraries. One is the NeoPixel extension, and the other is the feather pinout extension. And since the PyGamer is essentially a feather, it has the feather pinout on the back. We know the pins that we can use for things like sending NeoPixel data. When you then go to create a NeoPixel strip, you can see here I've got this set strip to create WS2812 strip on, and then I've got this drop down here of all the possible pins. And since I imported the feather extension, I get lots and lots and lots of pins. You can see there's the D3 that I'm using. That's that JST connector down at the bottom. And in fact, let me just add a down shooter view of the world. There you go, so you can see that. So here's where I got that plugged in. I should be able to get back into the game. I just pressed reset. So now I'm out of that bootloader mode, and it's just running the functional code there. Then in this function, I'm setting up my strip brightness. You can see I set it down to 10, pretty dim. I'm setting all the NeoPixels to this light blue color. And then I'm also using Photon, which if you're not familiar with MakeCode, you may be wondering what the heck is Photon. Photon is a sort of almost like a one-dimensional version of Turtle Graphics logo. It is a way to send a single pixel along a line. I guess that's two-dimensional? That's one-dimensional, right? You can move a pixel down the line of your NeoPixel strip with this. So first I'm saying just set it to no color. Then you can see when I, let me find in the code here, when I fire, luckily things are color-coded. I know that orange is an input. So I'll look for this orange block for when I press fire. It will run this function. Besides things that are happening in the game, which is all about sending sprite graphics around, it also calls this function that I created called call vibranium gauntlet blast. So if I look for that blue, where are you? Vibranium gauntlet blast. Have I lost the function? It's working, so it's here somewhere. There it is. It's small. It doesn't have a lot going on in it. So here's all it does is it uses that photon code, which by the way is all right here in the main light. You don't even need an extension. This is always in CircuitPython or in make code. There's a section called photon, so you can do things like flip the direction it's going, move it a certain number, change the color of the pen, which is the one that's moving. I think it can leave behind a new color as it goes. Set its position to somewhere, and then pen up and down, which is why I say it's similar to logo. It can be told to sort of draw with a trailing color or not. I'm actually not doing that. I've essentially just the pen up going along. And what I do for that blast, if you watch here, each time I press it, it is repeating 10 times this move the photon forward by 3. Since I have a 30 NeoPixel strip, this just gets it down the end, but quickly. So I'm skipping some. I'm not running across every one of them, which I think was a kind of cool look. If you set this to repeat by 30 and move it forward by 1, then we would run it along the whole strip. So it's really cool. It's a very nice educational tool for teaching people how to get an effect that they like using logic without getting hung up on the syntax of the code so much. Usually the answer is going to be in here somewhere. So if you click around and get used to the basics of projects, it's actually not hard to add this. It just took me a few minutes to add in this cool little effect. So that's where this is at. I'm working on a guide for this. This should be out soon. This will be something you could run on your Pygamer or other arcade-compatible device if you just want to play the game. If you want to plug in NeoPixels to it, you might need to change the code a little bit depending on how you've got those plugged in. But really fun Wakanda Forever, and I didn't show the graphics too much, but if you didn't see these last week, these are great. This is, let me open up the player. This is a set of graphics that Marvel and Microsoft put together so that you can run through a tutorial and use all of these assets. I broke up the background asset and made it into layers so I could use this parallax scroller. But now I can move with my arrow so I don't get shot right away. Hey, stop shooting me. Oh, now I'm dead. But all of those assets of Shuri, Namor, and other characters from the upcoming, or actually it's out now, Black Panther Wakanda Forever are available from them, as well as a bunch of cool new features that I was very excited about in MakeCode Arcade. So that's the project I'm working on, and keep an eye peeled on the blog for when that Learn Guide comes out. Should be probably the beginning of next week, end of this week. Let's see. By the way, I wanted to say I will do some questions at the end. So if anyone wants to put questions in the chat, I will try to answer what I can there. And oh yeah, so I said I would do a little bit of new. So let's take a look at some new products in the store. I don't have them in front of me, so it won't be a cool demo. Look for those in the future. But for right now, I'm just going to go where you could go, which is the webpage, and mention we've got that 5x5 NeoPixel BFF, NeoPixel Grid BFF that Jeff Epler did the cool demo for. In fact, if we do click on this, I think there's a little animated demo in the. Is that going to run? You know what? It might not run, or it might not be updated yet. But go check that out. It should be updated soon. It just might also not play well with my streaming setup here. We've also got this in the continuing revisions on the displays. Lamore had to do some revisions on displays as we got some different parts. And while she was in there, she added the iSpy connector. So this one looks really cool. This is this 240 by 240 TFT display. It is 1.54 inches, and it now has the iSpy connector on it. So if you want a nice, easy way to connect up to your microcontroller, if you don't want to solder to all these bazillion pins here, you can use the little flat ribbon cables, iSpy ribbon cables. And then for now, you can use, we have a little breakout. So at the other end, we have a little breakout board that you connect that into and then solder it to your project, into a permaproto, run wires to a breadboard. In the future, we will start having microcontrollers that have the iSpy connector on them. It'd be so nice, so easy to plug in your displays. And those carry, by the way, the cable connection, the iSpy connection, carries not only the display lines, but also the SD card data can run over that as well. And I believe there's I2C as well. Maybe I'm making that up, but I think there is. Let's see what else we have new. We have the BFF add-on for NeoPixels. So this is not NeoPixels right on the BFF, like the one that Jeff showed, but this is a plug-in 3JST connector for running NeoPixel strips right off of your Cutie Pie, similar to what I was showing here with my NeoPixel strips on the Pi Gamer. So that's just a nice little connector there. Oh gosh, I just ripped it all entirely. Don't do it that way. Nice demo. Yeah, be a little gentler. I'll have to fit those back in there. Don't tug it by the, by the cable. That was terrible. Forget that happened. Oh my God, that thing's really stuck in there. I don't know what I did. That's funny. So maybe don't get that. I don't know. Who knows? Let me turn this off. Let's see what else we've got. This one was new last week, actually. I think we showed this was just a 2.2-inch 18-bit color TFT LCD, also with the iSpy connector on it. So those are the new ones there. In the chat, so that's it for new products, including ones that I manhandle and tear apart. Over in the chat, a nice idea from Toddbot there, which is with all the Cutie Pie BFFs, we've got the grid, the battery, the NeoPixel JST. You could make a really chunky, fat sandwich of Cutie Pie stuff if you got the right pins for it. In fact, I was talking earlier about prototyping area. Doesn't the battery one? I think the battery one actually has a little prototyping area on it because I used that with my little clock project that's back there. All right. Let's see. What else is happening? I think that is all that I wanted to show. Hopefully I haven't missed anything major, but let me know if you've got any questions in the chat. I'm going to take a look over here and see. Also check the YouTube. Also, I think there was some discussion of shortwave radios when I was showing that before that I couldn't take a look at. So let me back out my history here. Yeah, is there a shoulder strap? DJ Devin asked. There is. I think my dad has it still. I grabbed the wrong one. All the stuff wasn't together. But there was for that Sony radio, there was a nice little shoulder strap to make it pseudo-portable. Mark Gambler, I live almost next to the airport, can pick up frequencies really clearly, including baggage handling. That's what I heard the other day. In fact, I think it was the baggage handling that was who was talking on there. Yeah, SDR, definitely. That's the way to go, I think, these days is SDR. In fact, I found an online web SDR. You can go and tune a software-defined radio from your web browser, which is wild. You don't even need your own local one plugged in. Australia, number stations are still a thing. Yeah, they still exist, right? There's not too many, but I'm dying to listen in on some. For some reason, that's still fascinating. All right. Toddbot asks if the AdaBox is a DIY Lars. I can't answer that. I don't have any top secrets. Someone asked if I had... Oh, Australia wants to know if the Cutie Boy Pie project would be a top secret. Maybe, but don't ask. I can't tell. Yeah, I can't top last week's top secret, so I won't try. All right. Evil Dave of Canada asked if someone could post the link where to sign up for the Adafruit Daily. I'll do that right now. In fact, that was over in the YouTube chat. And that is adafruitdaily.com. I'll post it there, and then I'll show you it, in case you're curious. That's what it looks like when you get to adafruitdaily.com. You can go ahead and pick any of these newsletters that you'd like to have sent to you. Give us your email address. We promise to not spam you or do awful things or sell it to anybody. It is safe with us. You'll only get the newsletter. And as it says here, it's not connected to your shopping account and experience. So in fact, you could use a burner email address, a totally different one, a DuckDuckGo. What's that site? DuckDuckGo email address. Anything like that will work. Let's see. Question here from Chuck. Looking for a way to have a standalone programmer and tester for microcontrollers. Any suggestions? I'm going to have that one be one for the chat if anyone has suggestions for a standalone programmer and tester. I don't know. I mean, I've used things like a microcontroller, like a Arduino, as the programmer with an FTDI cable to another Arduino before. I'm not sure if that's the question you're asking. Let's see. Yeah, we'll give some time in the chat for anyone who has answers to that. WB8NBS says that Sony is a dream. I have a transoceanic 3000 that takes 9 D cells. Woo! 9. That's a new record. I remember boomboxes that took 8, but 9 is something else. Yeah, so Toddbot mentions this. If you're not familiar, I'll bring up the chat, the Discord chat here. If you're not familiar with number stations, you may have heard them before. People like to sample them in songs too, but they are usually a fairly impassive voice speaking numbers. It's a person, not a robot. And these, I think, the very first versions of these actually started during World War I, but they were particularly active during the Cold War. And it is a voice that is reading numbers aloud. Sometimes in Russian, sometimes in English, sometimes in Spanish. And the idea is that a government espionage agent in the field in a foreign country can tune in at a certain prescribed time, write down the numbers, and then decode that with a one-time key. So it's a way of sending out a message that really can't be traced, because you can't really trace who's receiving it. Everyone's receiving it. And without the one-time key, it's basically impossible to crack. So that's what the numbers stations were about. I think that's fairly conclusive. Of course, no one's ever admitted to it, but it's there have been arrests made based on numbers station activities, I think in Cuba in the 80s at least, or maybe even the 90s. Go look it up, though. It's a fascinating subject. Toddbot says, depends on the microcontroller, but a Raspberry Pi is a good general solution for programming. Oh, right. Yeah, I think we've got some guides, in fact, on making a programmer. Sorry, now I'm understanding your question better. Yeah, so if you're trying to, let's say, program the firmware onto a bunch of the same microcontroller, we use a Raspberry Pi. Actually, we're converting that over. It was Teensies in the past. I think now RP2040s. Yeah, OpenOCD with RPi is an option. So discuss that. Also, if you're wondering, our Discord is a great place to ask those kinds of questions, not only in the live broadcast chat, but you can go to the help with projects or some of the other channels and ask that type of stuff. All right, well, this has been the show. So thanks for tuning in. I know it was a fly-by-the-seat of your pants sort of weird amalgamation of Ask an Engineer and JP's workshop, John Park's workshop, but I hope it worked for you. I will continue to refine it. Let me know if you have any things that you'd like to see more of, less of, different of. And I'll be back next week at this time, next Wednesday. In the meantime, tune in to some of our other shows. We have, I believe, so there won't be anything tomorrow. I'm not doing a second copy of my workshop show tomorrow. So this show will be happening on Wednesdays for the foreseeable future. On Friday, I believe we have a deep dive with Tim, Foamy Guy, and Scott maybe starting to get some of those going again too, which would be pretty cool. Then starting again on Tuesday, I'll have my product pick show. Wednesday, we'll have 3D Hangouts with the Ruiz Bros, and then show and tell, and then this. So that's going to do it for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park, and this is your moment of Xeno.
Thank you.